I'm 22 years old now, but I've been carrying a dark secret for nearly a decade. I've tried to bury it, forget it, but it creeps back into my mind every now and then. When it does, it's like a black hole, pulling me into a spiral of guilt, shame, and self-hatred. I can't talk to anyone about it. I can't let anyone know what I did without them looking at me differently. Even if I told them, I don't think they'd ever understand the depth of my regret. They'd see me as someone I no longer am, someone I hate, but still, someone I once was. There are days, sometimes weeks or months, where I manage to push it out of my mind. I go about my life like everything's normal, like I'm just another person with the usual problems. But inevitably, something will trigger the memory, and suddenly it's all I can think about. I can't describe how much I loathe myself for what I did. I don't deserve forgiveness. I know that. When I die, I expect to be judged by God, and when that day comes, I'll burn in hell for the hate and harm I caused. It doesn't matter that I'm not the person I was when I committed the act. I still did it, and nothing will ever change that fact. I can't even remember the exact moment I decided to do it. It wasn't something I planned out, thought through, or even questioned. I acted on impulse, and once I had done it, there was no going back. Now I'm stuck with it for the rest of my life. To be clear, I didn't physically harm anyone, but what I did was still wrong, and it left lasting damage. It might not seem like a crime, but it felt criminal. And it felt wrong. I wasn't arrested or anything like that, but I was exposed and called out. Honestly, I should have been arrested. That would have been justice. I was around 12 or 13 when it happened. Back then I was different. I was a freak, for lack of a better word. I was the weird kid, the one who took jokes too far, the one who thought dark humor was funny and edgy. I developed that sense of humor when I was around 9 or 10, and by the time I hit middle school, I had fully embraced being the oddball. I didn't care what people thought of me. I swore, I made inappropriate jokes, and I found joy in making people uncomfortable. I was the kid the girls would roll their eyes at, the one who made people laugh for all the wrong reasons. And back then I thought that was cool. I thought I was hilarious, pushing boundaries, seeing how far I could go. My humor was dark, violent, and often sexual, but I didn't think twice about it. To me it was all just a joke, and I was the butt of those jokes too, the ugly, weird-looking kid who would do anything for a laugh. It was the only way I knew how to fit in, to make people notice me, even if it meant they were laughing at me and not with me. That's the kind of person I was when I did what I did. Now, I'll set the scene. I had an Xbox One back then, and I used it to connect with friends, if you can even call them that. We played co-op games together, talked trash, and sometimes left voice messages when we weren't online at the same time. There was this one guy, let's call him Jake, who I considered a friend at the time. We had gone to primary school together, and we shared a similar sense of humor. Jake got my edgy, over-the-top jokes. He laughed at the violent, ridiculous things I'd say, and I liked that. It felt like validation, like someone finally understood me. We'd play Call of Duty sometimes, or just chat while playing other games. Occasionally, I'd leave him these long, rambling voice messages. They were barely coherent, mostly just me spouting off the most violent, twisted things I could think of. It was all a joke to me, and Jake would laugh when he heard them. I remember one time, he came back from getting food or something, and I heard him laughing so hard at one of my messages. I lived for moments like that. But then one Sunday morning, everything went wrong. I was playing GTA 5, not really paying attention to the drama, unfolding between some friends on Xbox. Jake had borrowed my headset, and for some stupid reason, I made a big deal about him not returning it when he said he would. It wasn't even that I cared about the headset, it was just something to stir up. So, in my infinite wisdom, I left Jake another voice message pretending to be furious. I thought it would make him laugh. I thought it would ease the tension. Instead, I said some of the most vile, twisted, sexual, and violent things I could come up with. I didn't think about it. I didn't consider the consequences. I just did it. But Jake didn't find it funny this time. And honestly, he shouldn't have. What I didn't know at the time was that Jake's brother was using the Xbox. He heard the message and flew into a rage. I imagine he went back and listened to every other message. I'd left for Jake. Then he told their parents. You can probably guess what happened next. I went over to Jake's house to collect the headset, and his parents were waiting for me. They chewed me out, threatened me, and made it clear just how serious this was. My own parents were called. I confessed to what I said in the most recent voice message, though I don't remember every detail. I just remember two specific things that got me into the most trouble. From that moment on, everything changed. I was cut off from Jake and the rest of our friend group. No more Xbox, no more edgy jokes. It was all gone. I became the target of bullying at school. Kids on the bus would sing songs mocking me, using my name as the punchline. At school, I was picked on, got into fights, and quickly withdrew into myself. I started hurting myself. I stopped eating, stopped drinking. I'd punch my arms and legs until bruises covered them. I even cut my wrist once, though it was more out of desperation than anything else. I felt like I deserved to be in pain. I deserved to live in this hell I had created for myself. Years have passed, but the guilt hasn't faded. I'm 22 now, and I'm still haunted by what I did. I'm on antidepressants, and I've spent most of my life on autopilot. I dropped out of college, and I don't have many friends. I don't see a way out of this cycle of self-hatred and regret. What I did is unforgivable, and I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life. I don't deserve forgiveness, and I don't expect to find peace. I'm just trying to survive one day at a time.
I shall see you. Here,